Hey everybody, Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star Mopars.com. Friday night, it's what, 7:30 almost exactly. Dropped down to 64. It was real nice earlier. I guess the front came through. Needless to say, I don't have a ton of time, but I wanted to get something done. I thought this would be a quick little project and a tool haul all wrapped up in one. So trying to give you more bang for the buck here. And let's get rolling with this. Literally rolling. It says U.S. General 18 by 72 inch non-slip drawer liner. Right on cue, text interruptions. It just never fails. But this is, I believe, $7.99 standard price. We would have got it on sale. This is something that I did not bother to measure ahead of time. There's two things I have in mind for this initially. If I wind up liking this, if it's what we've got in the box, it'll be great. The orange 34-inch MasterTech, the bottom liner. I don't know what went on in transit. I don't know what the box did to it, but that thing is beat up. It's nothing I did. It came that way, and I've debated changing that out. The other thing I want to do is on the side shelf that we added. We took the side shelf, of course, and threw it on the MasterTech service cart. I kind of want to have the option of having a piece pre-cut, and that's where this comes in, because again, I didn't measure anything. I just went with what they had. And this is essentially the exact same item. It's just in a 16 by 22. So again, if you're doing like a ton of real estate, you'll want this. If you're doing small sections, you would want this. Keep in mind, measure your drawer. If you've got 16 in, say, the 4 drawer and 18 in the 5 drawer, or whatever box it is, go with that. It makes your life much easier because you're only cutting in one direction at that point, right? The other side is pre-cut to length with perfectly cut edges that you will never replicate no matter how hard you try. But that's what I plan to do with these two items. And I will tell you, the MasterTech cart has way better, I believe this stuff, drawer liners than our 4 drawer. The 4 drawer is almost like it's not construction paper and it's not felt, but if you could cross those like 80-85% with a little bit of this mixed in, it's about like that. So you do get, it's one of those things that's probably overlooked and not that important, but it is worth noting. So that's what I plan to do with that stuff. Sticking with the U.S. General theme, we have these, and I'm going to tell you, they are incredibly hard to find locally, and I don't quite know why. This is the U.S. General Toolbox Guard. You get 4 of these. Now, stuff, fancy up-end stuff, like the MasterTech's got the bumper pads on it. But the 4 drawer does not. And the 4 drawer, we were actually populating it quite nicely. I was planning on making a video about it. And then, of course, pulled the trigger on the MasterTech, and that kind of changes the plans. And tentatively, what I'm still thinking I will do, this could change, I have no idea, is turn the 4 drawer into more of like a dedicated detail cart, right? So it would have brushes, Q-tips, towels, microfibers, applicator pads kind of inside the drawers. Underneath and up top would kind of be the main highlights, really, because that's where you would hold your detailing products, right? So if I go that route, and even if I don't, I felt like this was something good to have. And essentially all this does is it puts the bumper pad onto the side. So let's say that this is a detail cart, and I turned because somebody was walking through the door, and I bumped into the cart, and we sent it into the fender of the duster. Instead of having metal on metal make contact, we have a rubber bumper. So still bad, but not nearly as bad. So I figured it was a worthwhile pickup. I just pulled up the price, and I, for the life of me, can't remember. $19.99 would be a bit much, so we're gonna run with 15 bucks, maybe 10. But again, this locally, I found them finally for the first time. Oh geez, I probably had these like a month or 6 weeks or something. I had never seen them prior to that, and I wanted them for quite some time, and they're never there. So I don't know, maybe it's like a store by store thing. Maybe they're in high demand, maybe nobody buys them, so they don't really stock them. I don't know, but they are available. Obviously this will work on anything. If you come in and you build your own angle iron or square tube base table, and you always bump it into something, if the tabletop is not out farther to be the point of impact, put these on them. If you got a welding cart, put these on them. If you got any kind of cart, a parts cart, a roll cart, a teardown cart, you got a pretty economical bumper protection. Now, what kind of concerns me, I honestly hate adhesive, but I'm assuming that's how these are set up. We'll figure it out. Who knows? We may not put these on. I might kind of hold on to them for a rainy day type of a deal. But again, they are available. Something else available that is not available in orange yet, which I hope becomes available in orange, is the US General 6-inch magnetic parts holder. It's currently available, well, I'll be danged, look at that. In these colors, you kind of got your typical, as cast, shiny finish, been around since the 70s and 80s parts dish bowl. You've got, that looks orange, but I promise it looks orange kind of in certain lights, but it's red, trust me. You'll note yellow, slate gray, whatever they call their gray color is missing, a couple of white. So I think eventually this will be expanded to include all the other colors that you see in the US General line. It's common sense that they would do so, but right now they don't have orange, and of course we've got 2 blue boxes, so it makes sense to grab one, see what we think of them. You can usually score pretty much any of these for $7 or under. I mean, I got a pretty sweet, we made a video on it years ago now, Mopar one. I don't think it was more than like $10, probably $9.99. That's sort of the cream of the crop for me personally. But it'll work at any angle. Case in point, you can kind of see the screwdrivers and the wrenches held in with gravity-defying odds. Magnet strong enough there, it looks like to hold 2 sockets. Spinning it around. Durable powder coat finish, obviously that's where we get the color from it. They say it's a 10-pound magnet. It looks like it has that nice backing on it, so we shouldn't scuff stuff up. Obviously that was the next point of reference if we would have looked at it. Non-marring rubber base, and as they mentioned on the back, it works at any angle. $5.99 was the price for this, not $6.99. So I think when we got this, I want to say I ordered this one and it was on sale. It wasn't significantly cheaper than $6, obviously, but hey, every buck or two helps. And in terms of US General, what I think their newest item is actually right here, part number 58549. It is the steel magnetic cup holder, right? And, I bought one of these, and if you're thinking like, oh, you need more than one cup holder to put on the side of your box or cart, man, that's lame. Should have swung a couple of these things. I would typically agree, but I also like to try things out. I don't want to go out and buy 4 of these, 2 per side or something, and then not like them or they don't fit the cup. And I'm also, spoiler alert, not necessarily sure we're going to use these for a cup. You've got situations. If you got the little dinky water bottles, like the 16 ounce, I bet that drops in. What if you try to, cheap out and you get these big ones, right? Will it fit? I don't know. But what I'm kind of thinking about is, of course, other cans, right? Not drinking, but say WD-40, PB Blaster, lithium grease, spray paint. The good stuff, if you will. Brake fluid, trans fluid, bottles of Ballistol. Those are sort of what I'm feeling out. I need to know before I commit to this at $12 a pop what fits, what doesn't fit, and take it from there. So we'll sort of figure that out. Selling points according to the Harbor. Powder coated finish fits multiple household items, including soda cans, coffee mugs. If you're like, man, these idiots, why do they do the horseshoe design? That's so your handle, can go in and out without obstruction or interference. So coffee cans, mugs, spray paint cans, and more. Abrasion resistant magnetic protects paint from scratching. As you can see right here, sort of like you have with the magnetic parts holder, limited colors to start with. I would think if these do decent enough, or if there's the demand, you'll probably see the orange, the yellow, the gray, the white, so on and so forth. But yeah, I believe that's it. There's the water bottle kind of plugged in. So let's kind of reverse this tool haul now and get this stuff opened up, right? Let's start with the most recent item and work our way backwards. So the way this one works, it's got 2 magnets on it that'll space it nicely, and I guess someone probably actually tested this. They probably, in my opinion, would have had 1 centrally located magnet if they went with the circular style. And it was probably a situation where, even though this is very lightweight, this probably worked great with an empty bottle, and then when somebody put a big, like water is not lightweight, folks, So like somebody comes in and drops down, like a 64 ounce or something, probably started to see her slide, and it was corrected. Personally, I might have just run a rectangle. The perk of having 2 circular magnets is if one loses adhesion, looks like they are screwed in place, actually. So let's say that one of these were to somehow like strip out and just doesn't fit, and you can't find anything that fits that profile that's the same strength or stronger. You still have at least one magnet, and it might work for some stuff, whether it's up top or down low, but I kind of think I would have just done the rectangle, sort of match the bracket. Personal preference there. The US General is stamped to where you look down at it like so. Almost looks like a toilet there. But, there we are. That's what we've got. Will it fit the big water bottle? Yeah. So this is a body armor. It is, man, you would think people would put the capacities here easier to see. 1 liter of body armor, so that fit effortlessly. I got a giant spray bottle here. That's not going to happen. And this is the Niagara. This is not the one I'm using. This is just the one that's set here. Or I did have water and it's evaporated. I don't know. But the one I am using that is loaded down, I think it's actually been really good for quite some time now. So that's cool. We'll come in, we'll grab the Steak Express. I don't know where this chain started, but they've got catchy infomercials. Now that is a tight fit. I don't know, I would assume that's what, like 32 ounce or something. I don't have any foam cups in here to try out. We'll grab Ballastal. Lord help us if we spill any. It's gonna fit. I just kind of want to give you a visual on it, right? Sort of shows you the casework you have there. Obviously, I would say most things are going to fit. So spray paint, fix a flat, I mean, pretty much everything you ought to be home free. We'll just scientifically leave it at that. Now, in terms of this thing, what I want to do is mainly just open it so you can appreciate the color better. So many times, that plastic, you know, that encapsulates stuff like this, it just kind of takes away from the overall aesthetic. So, yeah, I like seeing the magnet on the backside out of the packaging here. And if I could just cooperate, you know what, we'll just, if you're not going to do what I want you to do, I'll just make you do it. So, right here, there she blows. Again, just a much, much nicer aesthetic out of that plastic wrapper, in my opinion. So, looks like a similar construction there. I can feel sort of where there were probably 2 screws shot through underneath. But, yeah, that will, believe it or not, you know, protect your finishes. And if you're curious, kind of to give you an idea on the profile of these things, the magnet is just a fit. Check it out. Very cool. Also convenience. I mean, if you wanted to do something like this, you could definitely make that happen. We'll go ahead and open these just to get a feel. Man, there's no easy open on this, is there? Of course not. So it's probably something that's super tightly packed. No issues for the Cuttix, though. Let's go ahead and, oh yeah, it's 3Ms. I mean, you know, people are always like, you know, you use cheap stuff. Well, not in this case. I mean, man, that's got a smell. I've got some issues with my nose, man, but that's, even I can smell that. Still rubbery, so that's good. I really ought to make a video on that stuff. I can't be around onions anymore. It's a long story, but good Lord, it's like death. And there's not many foods that are prepared, you know, without onions of some sort, powder, salt, something. And I tell you what, man, it's a nightmare. So, anyway, if you want an elaboration on that, feel free to let me know, because quite frankly, life hasn't been that enjoyable when it comes to food and paint and even exhaust. Like exhaust on cars never bothered me. And then I'm talking like straight up brand new off the assembly line, lame, no sound, nothing, econo ball, like that stuff reeks. Like I never even used to smell it. Now it smells like clean toothpaste. Dawn, green apple Dawn, man, I'm telling you, that's another story for another day. But part of this I hate, man. It's just rubber bumpers are dorky, they look bad. This is kind of like putting splash guards on your car, like, well, I'm going to protect the quarter, and it's like, yeah, it does, kind of, but it also looks terrible. So it's kind of a catch-22 for me. The cool thing, you can trim this if you want to. Now, you would lose sort of that nice rounded edge. Keep in mind, though, you should be able to trim this with a decent pair of shears. But that's kind of what these look like. My apologies, I still have the Black Widow over at the other box, so we'll just roll with my OE Stanley here. Just about 12 3/4, somewhere in that range. So obviously you can apply this to whatever you want to. It should be, given that it's 3M, pretty decent adhesive there, and I guess that would obviously be a point of failure if you cheap out, so it's nice to see the good stuff there. But What we will do, we'll maybe mock that up. I don't know if I want to commit to it, man. So we'll sort of feel it out, maybe put some pliers up and hang it down so you can kind of see the color behind it. But yeah, we'll figure something out there, and then I'll figure out which one of these will fit that side tray best. Again, I don't think I'm going to run adhesive on it. Honest to gosh, ever since I put the side tray up, it's come down once, and that was when I was rolling through a tight corridor. So it's almost always going to be out. And I also feel like if you put heavy stuff on it, you know, which I always have stuff sitting there, so if I do that, it kind of like becomes one with the metal. You know, sort of self-adhesive, if you will. And I'm sure, you know, like you could flop it off, or, you know, it'll roll off, because I've been bragging about how it'll do that. But so many times, like, you can have something that's not adhesive, not tacky, and it just sort of adheres. So like this, we're fine, and then when we hinge down, it would be like this. You got to remember there's a very subtle lip that'll kind of hold it, but then gravity will want to take this side and have it peel down. So we'll have to watch that. You could do Velcro if you wanted to, but again, it's just you still have to put that adhesive strip somewhere. You could screw through it. That's probably not advisable unless you want like a big washer and mess there. So we'll figure something out. Let's head over there and wrap this thing up. Actually, we're going to head over here first, and I want to squeak the tripod a little. Check that out. That's really kind of dorky. I've never run a paper towel holder in that vertical orientation. This is right by the personnel door to the shop. And so I've got kind of some homemade wooden tables here, and then I mean the box, it's like the door swings and it would come roughly here. All right, so I've tried this out ever since whatever, last weekend, 2 weekends ago, when we did that video, and I've kind of liked it. So I'm still gonna flirt with it, see what we think overall. But the stars of the show are here, and we're gonna get started with the parts tray. So we'll take it, and again, listen to the adhesion here. Watch your fingers. There we go. I just cleaned this up the other day, but you know what? I've got some stuff here that should work quite nicely. So we're going to take some double open end, an 8x10, somewhere in Asia. We're going to take the 1417. Boom. We're going to take this little double-sided screwdriver. Sweet. I've got an extra hardware. You know you haven't assembled it right until you've got extra hardware. We've got an acorn nut and a flange nut. Boom. There we go. So it's working. That's what I cared about and wanted to know. So that's the parts tray. Again, picture it in any orientation. If you've got a lift, you could even put it upside down on an arm. Whatever you need to do, a frame rail. You might want a brighter color so you don't lose it. This guy right here, it's pretty new. I've never seen videos on this. I can't say I've either looked for them, but let's go ahead and stick it in. I work hard to hopefully not scuff that. Apologies if you were staring at my arm only there. But the only bottle that I have around here that'll really fit, actually I've got some wasp and hornet killer right by the door. There's some glass cleaner, that's AMSoil, so I mean anything in that line would fit. You get the idea. I mean, it is what it is, right? So that sort of gives you a feel for the blue parts tray and the can holder, bottle holder, drink holder, whatever you want it to hold. Fits most items, but I'm going to go walk back across the shop to the orange Master Tech cart, check these techs, and we'll try to wrap this thing up. All right, so in this corner of the Skittle factory, we've got most recent thing I was doing on the side tray. Obviously, if you can't tell, I use the blue shop rags trying to protect the powder coat finish till we did this. I was cleaning adhesive with the Goo Gone. We were using the mineral spirits to remove paint. There's the Black Widow, ironically, in an area that we could have used it to measure. The cheap veneer plastic calipers, I only use that for painted stuff, or if it's handy and I need something else. Right here, by golly, I don't think this warrants a real video, but I found right after buying a new creeper, which I realize now I don't think we've made a video on that. I've had it for a while now too, but it's right behind me. But I finally found, I was ordering from a website that had some of this stuff, and I just took a gamble and ordered some stuff in, and I found a Lyle creeper wheel. It actually fit my crushed one. Case in point, that would be this guy. Yeah, hard times, man, I'm telling you. And let's see, the one I actually used, this is like it was an MVP brand creeper. I'm pretty sure my mom would have bought it at Walmart for me when I was like 13, 14, I don't know, maybe even 12-ish, somewhere in that era of life. It's actually not a bad creeper. It's red, it's black padded, just nothing fancy, but it had this problem, right? And you can never, ever find this exact caster. Now, you can see, had multiple points of failure. Number one, the bracket collapsed. Number two, the caster itself just completely failed, like this this bore right here. If you can't tell, I mean, that's just completely broken out. This is surprisingly not stripped. Those usually go, and from constantly being tightened and retightened. Had the wheel starting to, you know, like flatline and stuff, since it was constantly just dragging the ground, so I guess that's just wearing it to the bone. But the one that I used is not that one. I ordered in two. I thought I'd double my chances that way. It's part number 96132. It was the rubber wheel with a steel creeper. Catch is, while it fit and it works, ideally I would need to order 5 more of those. And I'm kicking myself because I placed another order at that outfit a week or two ago, and I did not do that. So yeah, at some point in time I'll probably get 5 more. I don't know. But it's kind of like tires on your car. Short of like something crazy happening, if you're going to replace one, you probably ought to look at the other 3 and just see if it makes sense to go ahead and have even tread on all 4 corners. And in this case, 6. But yeah, that was that. These I just brought over so we can cut the drawer liner. It looks like I thought the 16 would probably fit here, and no. It looks like the 18 is going to drop in perfectly. So we're going to go ahead and roll that out, cut it again, just as a rough visual here for you. Since we conveniently have a tape measure now, if we come in right to the hinge, we would be looking at basically an 18 by 16 rectangle, right? If we wanted to go all the way over, like if you've got a side tray like this and you're wanting to put something on it, but you always have stuff hitting the side of the box, you would be looking at about 18 by 17. Now, if you think a step ahead, and you always have stuff sitting there, like maybe you lean your impact against it, maybe you lean a socket rail, like so it doesn't take up shelf space or be out here on the lightweight side. If you're using that side wall, you know, it's going to look terrible, but you know, if you come in and you did like a 20-inch piece, okay, you would be roughly right here, and you'd give yourself basically like a 3.5-inch sidewall, maybe a 3-inch roughly. Because really, my armpit's right on the viewfinder. But I would say that's an option. Again, I would not recommend that for the best aesthetics, but again, like picture this bottle up against that, but now make it a heavy metal item that could potentially scuff your finish. Oh Lord, look at me not having the cap on. That was nearly a disaster. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind there. But again, basically 18 by 16. So if you're wanting to do this, the easiest way, regardless of if you want overlap there or not, is to get the big roll 18 by 72. I'll go ahead while we're rambling on and freewheel you down here. I don't think I have anything in the bottom drawer that would be spoiled because I haven't been putting anything in the bottom drawer. Yeah, it's not really bad. It's just like, what happened? It's almost like a chemical spill of sorts. Now, you can flip it. Yeah, I don't know what went on there, man, but it's just one of those deals, you know, you got like a nice new box or cart, and it's sort of like, yeah, I don't know if I want that now while we're open. Oh yeah, so if you're curious, because again, I don't think we probably did measure, but I mean, that was a long time ago, so it is 18 that you would want there as well. So that'll work quite nicely. I can 2 for 1 from that one roll. When we come back, I'll have another dimension. You can also, spoiler alert, if you don't do this often, if you're cutting this yourself virgin, you'll want to go by measurements. If you're replacing something like this, use that as a template. And then what you can do is you can simply replicate that over and over for every drawer you want it in. Also, if you have something like this that you're just like, man, you know, I spilled some stuff, it looks nasty, I want to replace it, check it out, right? So you got blemish, 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 basically that whole side. Now the thing is, you come this way, this thing is mint, right? Now if we've got 16 inches there, which I do believe we do, I can literally, instead of cutting this brand new roll for this, we can come in and pull this, use it as a template before we destroy it, cut our new bottom drawer mat, then extract this And instead of just junking this, we would just cut off the parts that we're not happy with, which we'll still keep and use for something, but we'll have access to that piece that we can trim to go here. Always think and save yourself money when possible, unless you don't like that sort of a thing. But yeah, so I'll do some playing around here, and last but not least, we will check these things out on the little 4-drawer back there. So let's get to work. Isn't that better? I thought so until I actually laid this out here, and look in that corner. Do you see the problem? Can you tell the difference in the black? You got sort of a darker shade and a lighter shade. Well, that's because this sucker is roughly 19.5 inches deep. So the 18, yeah, it technically fits, but you're going to have some uncovered spots. So I hate doubling up that length. You know, maybe we'll do it, maybe we won't. We could just totally throw that down over the top of it too. But I think I might just leave that for now. And there is something I thought about doing in the bottom drawer. That's also kind of the main reason. I don't know that I'm going to do it. I don't know that I could fit what I'm wanting to do. That was kind of my main reason. Something we're going to think about. So let's get back to the shelf. Okay, looking for a good pair, an excuse to get some electrician shears. These suckers cut through this awesome. Now that said, probably did something stupid here. I sort of tried to use the bump in the scissor as a guideline, and then if you see that little dip there, well, that's where this wasn't against it and kind of bushed itself out. The rest of it looks fairly straight. And what I decided to do, I was initially thinking, you know, like, we're just, you know, going to have it run right over here. That's a neat idea, but I don't really want to mess with it. I started looking at that hinge, and there's a lot of like open space. Granted, I mean, pretty much nothing of any size is going to go through there. But I was sitting here and I was thinking of like cutting wire, you know, and having like strands of copper fling and spray everywhere. And I thought, you know, I'm going to cover that. And then as I was thinking again about keeping this in place without adhesive, I decided, I was like, you know, we're going to cut it just a little bit longer. And I think maybe by the way, we'll be able to tuck it down inside this framework. Keep in mind, you've got the square lip on 3 sides. I wonder if we can't maybe make this thing stay put. So what I'm going to do is sort of test fit this sort of like I want it, and we'll go to town. It also looks like the way I mounted this, we could possibly tuck it in there. So I'll do some playing around and showcase what we came up with. And there you go. This is not perfect. It's going to be constantly in a state of flux until we kind of figure it out. Obviously, I want to set something over here. Again, the goal is sort of have this meld in place if possible. Man, these messages just keep coming. But what I want to kind of do real quick is drop her down. And I have not tested it in this configuration. You can see it lifted. The other thing I found, this is not square from whether it's their shelf paper or it's their shelf. Something is not square, and it's not got anything to do with the side we cut. It is literally the 18 wide that we're having trouble with. But I gotta say, and again, if you tilt it up, keep in mind you would eliminate that completely. My thoughts for tucking it was to see if it would stay, you know, with the hinge kind of embed itself, but we'll figure something out. It's certainly an option. It does stay. It's just a situation you'd have to figure it out. Who knows, maybe adhesive is best, but I prefer the idea of just if this gets trashed or ruined, I can just lift it off, cut a new one, and throw it down. So it'll be perpetually able to be fixed, if you will. So what we're going to do now is take these suckers, which would be perfect, weighted down to hold this corner, kind of see if we get it to meld in place. But we're just kind of going to mock it up on the 4-drawer back there. All right, so here's the glorious 4-drawer taken from its time of being populated for tools and roll carting and turned into a detail cart. So it's still got pretty decent selection of tools in there, but I've also sort of been converting it, transferring things over, if you will. We've blacked out the trim, of course, kind of been tweaking it here and there. But what we want to do, you can kind of see like the Master Tech right here, we've got that nice bumper guard, runs all the way top to bottom. This is just angle iron, right? Stamped steel, whatever you want to call it. And we could certainly benefit by having some of these. We just have to decide if we like the aesthetics of them or not. So I think we'll just kind of mock this up if possible. Obviously, I need to check a million texts again, and we'll see what we think of it. Apologies, the gantry crane, chain hoist, chain falls in the way, but I don't really have anywhere else to move it because we've got so many of them hanging there. And if I tap over here, we sort of focus more on the box. But I've got an issue here. These things are just shy of 13 inches. If you look at the product description, and this does not specify 4-drawer or 5-drawer, it's clearly the 5-drawer that they've got it on, right? You've got your 2, your 1, and then the 2 below. Because it would help if you could see that. It will work here. You can trim it, but aside from not liking, I think it's the ribs, man. I think these vertical ribs just irk me design-wise. I'm not quite sure. It also kind of kills the black and orange vibe. I mean, it covers a lot of real estate. So what I want to try and kind of do is get you tucked out of there and back this way. Apologies, it's a mess in here. But I'm just going to try to spin this for you and come in from the side. And you'll kind of see we've got, obviously, you know, the box drops in, if you're unfamiliar with how these assemble, and you've got 2 fasteners here, and then you've got 1 there, right? Sort of holds the bottom of the box. So when I take this, obviously the handle is going to be on either side. It's sort of vital, but we're now covering up the second fastener, which you can see pop out there, and then we're also covering up the middle one, which is sort of stupid, in my opinion. If I tilt you down and we catch the camera before she goes, I've been down here and try not to tear my pants any farther than the knee is out. Spin the viewfinder around so I can see if I'm showing you anything worth seeing. This actually does work. I did check. I thought, hey, maybe, you know, they sent 2 of one size, 2 of another size. Totally not the case. They're all equal. But again, right here, you could totally fit that right on that upright, and you would have access to all 3 fasteners, 2 at the bottom, 1 in the middle. Problem is, that looks so stupid. I mean, just, I get it. It would be great if you're going to bump into a car. Granted, on this side, you're gonna run a handle into something. It's just when you come up here, and it has nothing to do with the handle. Okay, it's just, it totally occludes that middle fastener, and I don't know if I like that or not. So I'm thinking these are going to be a weight on it. Again, this is sort of what happens when you buy things blind. Obviously, I think these would fit much better on the 5-drawer. Probably would not have that issue. In fact, if I can finagle myself over here, playing shock twister, if you will, you can see that middle fastener, and it almost does look like this actually occludes it a little bit. Like, not all the way, but it's like it's partially covered. That's just stupid. Like, and it's not even. Like, this side has, I'd say, like, what, 85% of the fastener visible, and then that side, it's just, I don't know. I don't think I can bring myself to put those on just yet. Maybe, you know, if we're rolling it around, I get in a close call, it might come back to bite me. I might regret it. I'm not also sure. Like, I'd kind of like this as a detail car, but I sort of might want it just to be kind of like stationary, you know? Like, it's great to move it around for sweeping, or if I do want to roll it outside type of a thing, but if it could spend 90% of its time just like parked against the wall, that would not be objectionable to me at all in the slightest. So can we trim it? And I mean, you could totally, I mean, I could cut it down and make it just 10 inches right there and fit, and then I could do the same thing at the bottom and sort of have more of the orange showing. But I mean, this just takes away so much of the aesthetic. I need to think about it more. Again, it should be good adhesive, but I don't know. We'll figure it out, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at here. So again, things don't always go according to plan, but you do have options, and they're pretty close to working. So you got a good baseline if you're super picky. If you're not picky, or you just absolutely want the bumpers on, they're available, they're reasonable, should be decent adhesive, and it should protect you from scuffing the finish, most likely on a customer's car. So with that said, I think we are done here. So we're still kind of in a state of flux, but we're closer to having it solved than when we started, so I guess that counts for something. All right, that's a little bit of progress, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can show stuff in here. You know, I mean, you know, you get the idea, not going too deep, but I was doing a decent job of filling this sucker out, you know, like all the NWS are there, locking pliers. It's kind of going to be like a welding cart. This is just sort of junk that I haven't moved to the blue one yet, but who knows, we'll do something, we'll figure it all out. But man, the majority of these texts have been about the St. Peter's Peacocks. Apparently, I think they've upended Purdue now, so I assume there's been so many, there's something else going on. But yeah, if you're into March Madness, that's what's going on this Friday night. St. Peter's took out Purdue in the Sweet 16. So, anywho, Peacocks aside, that's what we got going on. And it's, like I said, just kind of in a state of flux. But we'll figure something out, and you can rest assured I'll sort of update you as we go. But I also realize it's like after 8 o'clock, and I'm not eating supper yet, so I'm going to get started on the 8:30 almost. So we've been at this a while. But with that said, thanks for watching. I hope you have yourself a fantastic weekend. LoneStarMopars.com is a website, social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. That said, let me know your thoughts on this mess, what you would do if you think the bumpers are worth it and you don't care about the aesthetics, if you think those are hideous and you wouldn't even purchase them. Same thing with the drawer liner for the side shelf. Is that something where you would just slather it up the entire sidewall? Case in point, we can freewheel this a little bit, I guess, under the gantry. But right here, like, would you just do what I said and just go all the way up and over, even waterfall it down, something crazy? Would you leave it like this? Would you, obviously we can tuck that and make it look pretty decent, but it's kind of a state of flux there. So we shall figure it out. But with that said, thanks again for watching. I'll catch you back here for more action from the shop that will hopefully, possibly, maybe be a little bit more productive. So stay tuned for that. I'll catch you back here next time.